On a prairie in the middle of the Yakima Reservation sits the remains of Fort Simcoe, a United States Army post constructed in response to the conflicts known as the Yakima War. I'm Avery Green, and I will be taking you on a tour of this former military installation. The Fort Simcoe Historical State Park, as it's now known, occupies about 200 acres of the Yakima Reservation. It has several buildings, many that you can actually enter and explore. Today we'll be going into those buildings and walking around some of the other buildings that you can't go into. But thanks to the Library of Congress, we will be entering those buildings through photographs. Fort Simcoe was established in August of 1856 by U.S. Army Colonel Gregory Wright, then commander of the 9th Infantry Regiment. The site chosen was an area that Yakima people had historically hunted and fished. The first commander of Fort Simcoe was Major Robert Garnett, who took control of the location with 2 companies from the 9th Infantry Regiment, as part of a campaign to stop an uprising known as the Yakima War. By the winter of 1856, the soldiers had built blockhouses and barracks buildings, though notably no stockades had been built around the fort. By December of that year, the officers' cabins were built, and soon after that, construction on the fort was completed. The completed fort consisted of 4 officers' homes, barracks buildings for 4 companies, stables, laundry, and shops for blacksmiths and a saddler. Now, join me for a tour of the company barracks. This building would have housed as many as 70 soldiers. The original building was made of logs that came from the hills west of the fort. Soldiers in this building would sleep in bunks that were up to 3 high in order to fit all of them in. As you can see, there's a fireplace in the middle of the barracks. It's 2-sided that the soldiers could use for both warmth and food. Now, in the current building, there are no bunks, but there are picnic tables, as this is now a park, so that visitors from the park can go inside and enjoy a meal. Let's visit one of Fort Simcoe's blockhouses. Blockhouses were built in strategic locations around the fort as a defensive measure. Blockhouses are made of wood with the logs dovetailed together so that they don't need too many nails. While originally built for defense, the blockhouses soon began being used for other purposes, such as stables, blacksmith shops, and woodworking buildings. Now let me take you to the guardhouse. The more apt name would be the Fort Simcoe Jail. There are times when soldiers get out of hand. Situations like insubordination, dereliction of duty, and fighting are just some of the ways soldiers can find themselves on the wrong side of military law. When that happened at Fort Simcoe, the punishment could be anything from forfeiture of pay to confinement. The jail, like the blockhouse, was built using lumber that was dovetailed together. It has cells to confine prisoners and rifle ports to defend the fort. you can see another blockhouse building. Let's take a walk over there and look and see what's inside. Now let's take a look at the officers' housing. You'll notice that the buildings are built in a different manner than the enlistment barracks were. And you'll also know once we go inside that they live a much different life. From 1859 to 1922, the fort was used as an Indian Agency headquarters. This next building is the agency jail that was used. You'll notice the stark contrast in the living conditions. As we look around the inside of the jail, see if you notice something, one main difference between this jail and the jail for the soldiers. This concludes our virtual tour of the Fort Simcoe State Park. Thank you.